Hi, this is Cindy Cochran. Welcome to the archives of the Cindy Cochran Show. Remember, I'm live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11, right here on irlonestar.com. You can be a part of the show by calling 936-647-3776. Also, please visit my Facebook page, The Cindy Cochran Show. And let me say a special thanks to our show sponsors, BK Meyer Photography. If you would like to be a sponsor of The Cindy Cochran Show, contact me at cindy@irlonestar.com. Enjoy! Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday. Wow, it's Tuesday. You're listening to The Cindy Cochran Show, and there's such a sigh of relief, collectively, all across the country, because the Iowa caucus is over. And I posted on my personal Facebook, is everybody as excited as I am? Boy, people were. Yes, they were. And it was interesting to me that this rumor that was going around that happened, I guess, last week, that Vladimir Putin called together all his military leaders, and he said, this is how he said it. He said, "I want to tell everyone here to go ahead with all your military exercises. Do them now. Take all of our submarines, get them as close to the United States coast as possible. And we will do this without any kind of problems from the United States. They will not be watching. They will not care of anything that we do." And his leader said, "But Vladimir, what are you talking about? That the United States will not be listening to us? That will not be watching us?" And he says, "No." And they go, what makes you think this? "It is the Iowa caucus." And they're all went, yeah, just very good, very good. And he said, "I even called Donald Trump, and I said, Donald, I will be watching you, and I want to wish you all of the victory that you can get." And I think he even believed me. And you know what? I hope he wins personally. Have you seen his wife? And so I think that kind of stuff even affects world events, that this stuff is so consuming, and that we have all these people that are just, that's all they think about. I don't even remember hearing any other news except that stupid Iowa caucus. Now, no one appreciates the vote, honors the vote more than I do. It is good that we have this practice, but it is just, to me, so hyped up and just talked about, and the news, and it's probably all of the news cable channels and all that just made everybody sick about it, because that's all they could talk about. There was the countdown, there was the going up to it, and it was over so quickly. It was over so quickly that I thought, wow, is that all there is? That was it? That all of that hype was for that? And then the drama now that has come from that. Ben Carson is claiming that Ted Cruz workers, his campaign people, were telling Carson supporters, "Don't vote for Ben Carson. We've heard that he's dropping out, so it'd be a waste of vote if you go in there and vote for Carson." And people are asking Ben Carson, "Are you sure about this?" And he says, "I'll show you the tweet." And he shows them the tweet from one of the campaign workers that says that Carson was dropping out. And this wasn't a campaign worker. This was like a campaign manager. And so everybody's like, what? How could Cruz do something like that? And Carson said, if Cruz didn't know anything about it, that's one thing, but he should fire some people. If he did know about it, then I think he needs to come out with an apology and some mea culpa happening. And so now that's going to be looked into and investigated. And I think, good grief, how stupid. And if I was Ted Cruz and I found out that happened, it wasn't my idea. But this morning, I was waiting to hear some kind of interview with the manager of the campaign. And here comes. He says, "Well, yes, Ben Carson is totally lying, because we thought he was going to drop out because of what he said." And they said, "What did he say?" He says, "Well, they asked him, 'Where are you going now after the vote last night?'" He says, "Well, I've got to go to D.C. I've got to do a prayer breakfast there and to this other place." He didn't say he was going to New Hampshire. So we assume that tells us that he's dropping out the race. And that was their justification for doing it. Now, you're going to be so happy that I have in the room with me, really, an historical expert in so many levels. And now, see, I'm doing this comparatively to me, so I can say that. We have Denton Florian with us. Yay! Denton Florian is with us today. And now you know that he's of course, the Sam Houston movie director, producer, and writer, and has totally channeled Sam Houston in a way that we can understand him, and we can really put a face on so that we can relate to him even more than we ever had before. So I welcome you, Denton. Thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be back.
I know it was a late night for you. You stayed up and watched.
I really didn't much.
It was over at 9:30. How could you watch it? Did you watch Make the Call? Or did you see the call?
No, I didn't. I saw it this morning when I woke up.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's okay. That's just as good, believe me. It's like the, football games, the highlights that's all I need, are the highlights, and that'll be fine. Because it was so ridiculous how they kept trying to hype this thing, and as slow
That was a lot of hype. I mean, it's the same, that I don't know, they got to keep you interested, and it's just kind of the, alert this and breaking news that.
Right.
And you're like, come on, is this really?
I've never seen such attention paid to something like that. It was really ridiculous. But what I love about Denton goes so far above and beyond any kind of show prep or any kind of thing that we're going to talk about. He'll talk to me. We'll talk through it. What we may be talking on. He knows it's hard to follow me sometimes, but he's right there. But he did something last night that I am thrilled about. Explain why you did this, the numbers game that you played.
Well, and I was watching some of the returns this morning, or watching what they had to say, and there's a really interesting story on Drudge this morning about the Sanders Clinton thing, and apparently they called this for Clinton, and they said, well, it was a tie, but then they said 6 of these votes or 6 of the delegates were decided by the flip of a coin. And it kind of reminded me of LBJ and his Senate primary in 1948, when he was down by 20,000 votes, and miraculously these other ballot boxes appeared, and he won 100% of those. And he, I mean, the truth is, as best I'm able to tell, is he stole that election. And so here we have these 6 delegates last night that were decided by a coin toss, and Hillary won all 6 coin tosses and was awarded 6 delegates. And the chances of that happening are 1.5%. So that's the machine, and that's the way politics is done. Well, so I sat there and I I pulled a quarter out of my pocket, and while I'm listening to all this stuff going on, I start flipping the coin, and I was writing down. I flipped 50 times. I flipped the coin 6 times, 50 sets of 6, just to see what would happen. And I wrote down how it came out every time. And it was a perfect statistical normal distribution like you would see in school.
Of course.
And I think it won, I've got it right here, all 6, I think in this case it was heads. There were 6 consecutive coin flips that landed on heads one time, which is exactly what you would expect. The other 50 times, the other 49 times, it came out like you would think. So you would say, is that statistically probable? No, it's not.
No, it's not. Of course it's not.
Does that raise any suspicion? But that's the way they do it. That's the machine. So.
Well, that's what's.
And I think Sanders ought to be. I understand he's saying, it said in the story that he's calling for a raw vote count and all that, and he ought to. I would.
There's still a precinct out that they're waiting on.
I didn't know.
Yeah, and he wants a raw count of that. He wants that because he was upset about Microsoft coming in and doing a deal, like with this to make this all easier. That they were going to put in these machines, I guess, or some kind of way to count the votes and make it faster. What was so funny to me was after all that, I'm sitting there and a reporter sitting next to a woman who's getting ready, who's just finished counting, and she's just writing it down. He says, so you've got the count. You know who's won this precinct. She said, yes, sir. And he says, okay, well, are you now ready to call that in? And she said, yes, that'd be the next thing I do, except the battery on my cell phone is out, and I don't, and they're expecting that cell phone to call, so I've got to find out if they're going to, will they accept? She's doing that. The look on the reporter's face is like, I can't believe I got this lady, and her cell phone is out, and she can't make the call to tell them who's won that precinct. So all those things that happen in voting and all, and what we heard of back in the day with Kennedy and all the things that his dad had got him that bought the election and that kind of thing. That's all been going on like forever, right? I mean, for
a long time.
Ever. This is no.
Well, there was an old joke about LBJ and a bunch of guys were going through a cemetery one time, and they were writing down names and stuff off of the headstones, and one guy kind of lagged behind, and he was scrubbing and looking real close, and he was trying to get it. And one of the guys came back and said, Elmer, what are you doing? He said, come on, hurry up. He said, well, I really care. He said, this fellow's got just as much right to vote as all the rest of these guys in here.
See, you really can't even believe that stuff goes on. You just feel like, please, guys, we trust you. We know this is, you can't be like this. And yet they keep confirming, your fear that they're human and that you got to watch them.
I would be scared to death. I mean, that's like you go to big boy jail for that kind of stuff, don't you? I mean,
well, you should. And apparently, big girl jail is has no fear for some people because they don't feel like nobody's is. If you close your eyes and you don't think anybody's watching you, that's how I feel like maybe Hillary goes through life. I close my eyes to this. Nobody's going to see what I've done. Nobody's going to understand this. And the American people are too stupid to figure out that just because I did this. But just like I keep saying, I would not hire someone to be the president of my company when they came in for the interview and I find out they're under an FBI investigation, expanded, and this serious business. I'm sure I'm going to put them in as president and let that hang over the head of my company. No, I would not. I'm sorry, you disqualified yourself with that. And so I'm very curious. This curiosity for this campaign and for all this is amazing to me. I understand it. I mean, like I understood when you find out who won last night and what the deal was and all the poll numbers that just got shot down, every one of them, that you don't listen to that and you don't watch for that. That's not the reliable source, is walking into that. And everybody got a little bit of a surprise. But now that everybody's starting to drop out, Huckabee, Mallory is dropping out, so it may, it's culling down the amount of people, and we're going to hear more from them. I mean, that's been the thing, is that last debate that Trump decided not to go to was, I think, his undoing for Iowa, to me personally.
I think that his not going to that debate really, and his objections are so petty.
Yeah.
And I think it shrinks him,
right,
in the eyes of certainly the Iowa voters, but everybody. If you're talking about somebody who's going to be the president of the United States, to comport yourself that way, it just doesn't look good.
Well, his concession speech last night reminded me of a dog that scoots across the rug. It was just weird speech, and it wasn't at all like you think he would do a concession speech. But it was very nice. It was very nice. It wasn't huge, but it was nice. Okay, guys, you're listening to the Cindy Cochran Show with Denton Florian, and we're talking the Iowa caucus because we don't think you had enough. You're just going to keep this going and going. Okay. No, but we've got other things to talk about. Listen, join us. Stay with us. And if you want to call in, 936-647-3776. So we'll be right back.
The Cindy Cochran Show, the first daily talk show serving Montgomery County.
I'm Lieutenant Bob Berry with the Conroe Police Department, reminding you that drinking and driving do not mix. Drinking and driving causes an alcohol-related fatality every hour in the United States. Stay sober and stay alive.
Lone Star Internet Radio is now bringing you the weekly business hour show each Monday morning at 11 a.m. My name is Rick Schisler, and I will be your host. Each week we will be bringing you local, area and national business news that you can use. The program will also feature an interview with a local or national business person who will share their own experiences, successes, and failures in operating their businesses. Our show is for anyone who already owns a business, whether they work solo or have employees, and for those who are thinking about starting their own businesses. A bit of information about myself. Again, my name is Rick Schisler, and I am a Silver Fox advisor who has over 40 years' experience as a serial entrepreneur. As a part of our show, I will offer some advice and encouragement on our monthly topic, and I will take your questions by email at rschisler@silverfox.org or call into the station at 936-647-3776. See you on the radio Monday at 11 a.m. for the weekly business hour.
In a world where everyone with a smartphone is a photographer, unique images still stand out in local newspapers, magazines, and on the internet. Writer and photographer Brad Meyer has gained a reputation for innovation and quality, specializing in an editorial approach to portraits and event photography. For information, visit bkmeyer.com or call 281-221-4812.
Did you know there are more than 790 abused and neglected children currently in foster care in Montgomery County? Will you help make a difference? I'm Allie Stevens with Casa Child Advocates of Montgomery County. We train and support volunteers to be the voice of children in the foster care system. Kids are removed from their home because of abuse and neglect, and we need volunteers just like you to advocate for these children. To learn more about becoming an advocate, please visit CasaSpeaksForKids.com. That's CasaSpeaksForKids.com.
The Cindy Cochran Show. Even if these walls could talk, they couldn't get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, you got that right. You are listening to the Cindy Cochran Show. It is Tuesday, and my special guest is Denton Florian. He is I consider you a historian because you had to study. You speak on history, and especially about Sam Houston and all. And you stay on top of topics and things that are going on, and you can relate that to history. There's one thing that happened. I think it was late '80s that this happened. That I can remember where I was when I heard the story. I pulled my car over and listened to it because I had never paid attention to politics or anything like that. I didn't care really. I wasn't somebody that, like, okay. But this got my attention and really made me start paying attention to who it is that we send to office and what those guys are doing in office that they think they can get away with. And this was the House Bank scandal and the post office scandal. Mm-hmm. And the House Bank scandal was where the senators, congressmen could go to the bank, write a check, regardless of if they had no money in there. It didn't matter. They just wrote a check for this, and they got the money. And some of them were, in the negative for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, and it just, nobody said anything. It just went along like that. So they could write any check, any amount of check that they wanted to, and get by with it, and not having the money in the bank. Now, I do that, but I'm not a senator or a congressman, so it's more understandable that nobody cares, and I have to pay it all back, and I pay the $35 every time I overdraw something. But there was no overdraft from these guys. There was nothing for them. They could just write what they wanted to, and it made me either think I want to go in politics and become one of those guys, or that this is ridiculous that they are allowed to do that. And then on top of that, find out that the post office scandal, the House post office scandal, was even worse. Denton, they could take a $10,000 check from a donor, go into the post office and buy 25 cents worth of stamps and get the change from the $10,000.
Yeah, I don't remember the details of that. I do remember the scandal very well because it was big in the news, and it was a big dust-up over there. But, in general, we have a huge problem of ethics in virtually every segment of society. I mean, in sports, you have the doping scandals and domestic violence scandals, in politics, pick your side of the aisle. There's plenty to go around. Half the governors of the state of Illinois have been, since 1970, have gone to prison.
There you go.
Think about that.
There you go.
And like I said, we could, you could go down the list and
everybody sins and falls short of the glory of God. I understand that we all make mistakes and do that, but sometimes when you take on a title and you ask the people to believe you, trust you, and then they vote you in, and you mess with them like that, and you just turn your nose up at everything that you said you were going to do, and to the people that voted for you, and go along your merry way and take advantage of that, and they vote you in again. That's what would kill me. I was like, did you not learn your lesson from the first vote? But they don't. And so I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm so much more perfect than you are. But the fact is that we are electing humans, and that we've got to remember that those human beings make mistakes, and they got to be held accountable. How do we hold them accountable, Denton? What is it we could do to hold these people that we're going to put in office? And like right now, 14 days or so, we're going to be voting, early voting. See, I can just see Richard's eyebrows, just the top of his eyebrows. So when I say something I'm not really sure of, I can see how he does his eyebrows just to know if, I don't think I got that right. That's not right. February 16th is when we're going to start early voting. Is that correct, Richard?
I'm checking right now.
Okay. I believe that's correct. Oh,
it's coming up. It's pretty quick.
It's correct.
It's February 16th through the 26th.
Finally, something
way to
right.
go,
Okay.
Cindy! Awesome.
Yes. So when we go in that booth or whatever we're going to do, how we're going to vote, we've got to be sure what these people stand for, and that's why Richard and IR Lone Star has been having all these candidates come in every day. They're in there, and you can call in and ask questions and do all that. And I think that's what's important, is that you get to know them. And this is the first time on a local level I've been able to talk to candidates. I've had some candidates come in and talk to me, and that's been really exciting. I can't wait to go vote now because I know these people and I've talked to them. And hopefully what they say they're going to do, they're going to do. But if they don't, I wish we had a car, you have that lemon that you've got so many
The lemon
days.
law?
Yeah, the lemon law.
Right.
Why can't we have that on politicians so that in about 3-4 days, if they don't work out, they're not doing what they said, we can jerk them out of there and get them out so they don't do too much damage.
One of my favorite quotes from Sam is one time he said... Sam Houston. Yes. He said, "I would give no thought of what the world might say of me if I could only transmit to posterity the reputation of an honest man."
Wow. Say that one more time. Say that again.
He said, "I'd give no thought of what the world might say of me if I could only transmit to posterity the reputation of an honest man." And he wore a ring on his finger. Looks very much like a wedding ring, but on the inside of that ring was the word honor. And his mother gave it to him when he was 20 years old, and he wore it for the rest of his life, literally. And,
precious.
It's one of it is the lesson, I think, from studying Houston's life that applies to us today, is the idea of doing the right thing, even when it's not pragmatic, even when it's not necessarily in your immediate self-interest.
Right.
He did it anyway, and he paid the price for it, and we could use a lot of that today.
Well, see, that's why I think that what you bring to him is the human person, and you bring to us that part of him, and that makes us, respect him more than the large sculptor that's walking out of the forest there. I think that's been great that you've done that, and that you got to see so much of that. You've even seen The Ring because of the Sam Houston movie. You've seen The Ring. I'm sorry, Sam Houston, The Statesman. Right.
The documentary.
The documentary. And that you saw The Ring that had honor in it. You got to see that. That's cool. And you got to see a lot of the relics that he had, back in the day. And in making the movie, you made sure that you had all the authenticity that you could muster up with all the people around you, relatives and things like that. So you got to go in there and feel, in a sense, you came closest to feeling what he was feeling, thinking, and going through at times of his life. And of course he made mistakes. Of course he was, maybe more bombastic at times than we thought. But I got a Facebook message from Jimmy the C. Jimmy the C is our guy that does sports weekly with us.
Sure.
And so Jimmy Cirillo said, I love Sam Houston. He's my man. He said, would you please ask Denton, did he think that Sam Houston might be bipolar?
Of course, that wasn't a diagnosis back then, so that's anybody's guess. But James Haley certainly thinks that he was. James Haley is Sam's biographer. And I have some friends who have bipolar disorder, and they're also very passionate Texas history people, so they kind of know both sides of that. And
right.
I've talked to them and asked them, and they said absolutely. One of them slapped his forehead and said that makes perfect sense. And they proceeded to tell me about all the different characteristics of that and everything, and it makes sense that he would have been.
Well, that's great. See that? Well, that will thrill Jimmy.
I mean, one quick example from his life is he was a thoroughbred alcoholic by the time he was 20, which is kind of sad. But after he resigned his governorship in Tennessee, he went to live with the Indians again, which were in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And he was, at a minimum, severely depressed, and he was self-medicating with grain alcohol, which is about the worst thing you can do. But he said he was suicidal at the time, easily at the lowest point in his life. Oh. So when he was politically destroyed, his career was over. He was personally destroyed because this girl left him after they got married. The church turned its back on him, and he gets to the Indian Territory to share the exile of his Cherokee family again. And he found all these corrupt U.S. Indian agents who were operating in the Indian Territory, running slaves, running liquor, all of that. He could have easily slipped in alongside that, participated in it, made a ton of money. Nobody would have ever known. And you might say, you know what? If I was in that situation, what would I do? Mm-hmm. I wish I could tell you that I would do what he did, but I don't know. In that circumstance, he, instead of lining his own pockets, he broke all that corruption up, which led to everything else that happened in his life. I mean, that happened. That I don't think there ever would have been a Sam Houston in Texas had he gone the wrong way. He would have just disappeared in Oklahoma, and you never would have heard anything about him anymore after that. But when he had no reason to, no pragmatic reason to, he did the right thing anyway, and it cost him. It cost him plenty, but ultimately he was vindicated, and it worked out better for him for doing the right thing.
Well, what a character test for him.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's awesome. And you're right. It's like bipolar hadn't been, the name hadn't been given to the, the actions that people had. And it's like ADD and ADHD and every other acronym that we have that we don't know we have until they put some scientific study behind it and then call it a name. And now I've got this. This is what I have, and this is my problem, and what I've got to get over. And I think that it's interesting that he went to the Indians and got back in bed with them, so to speak, and that they were his comfort, and they got him through that. It's almost like the the Man They Called Horse and the movie and stuff that were inside that world that everybody else was afraid of or looked down on, or this would have never been a place where you have gone to try and find refuge. You got
to remember he lived with them on Hiwassee Island when he was a teenager for 3 years, and so 11 years later, after he resigned his governorship and so on. When his world collapsed, he felt he had no place else to go, and he said, "I'm done in Tennessee. I'm going to go live with my Indian family again." The chief being really his adopted father. Mm-hmm. Well, by now they had moved from eastern Tennessee to what is today Oklahoma, and he said, "I'm out of here. I'm going to go live with the Indians again," and he did for another 3 years.
Right. I think that's fascinating. I love that kind of stuff, and Denton is full of it, of that kind of stuff.
Lots of people have said that.
No, I'm so happy that you're here and that can validate a lot of stuff. I say a lot of people go like, what? She really mean that? Anyway, you're listening to the Cindy Cochran Show with validation from Denton Florian. And we're going to talk about the Convention of States, a way that you might find that you can actually participate in and get some more control over what's going on. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
The Cindy Cochran Show. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Hello, Montgomery County. I'm Rachel Baldwin with Special Olympics Texas, Area 6. Are you a fan of courage? Are you a fan of determination? Are you a fan of acceptance, grace, and skill? Then you're already a fan of Special Olympics. Make it official. Volunteer, coach, and or compete and be a fan of dignity and acceptance. The dedication of our Special Olympic Texas volunteers provides mainstreaming experiences for athletes with intellectual disabilities. You will touch the heart of another person, and it will move you in a meaningful way that lifts the spirit. Please visit the Heart of East Texas Area 6 webpage at www.sotx.org. Also, like us on Facebook to be a fan and be part of Special Olympics Texas.
Hi folks, it's your old buddy Luke Clayton, and I want to invite you to join me every Saturday morning right here on Lone Star Internet Radio from 8 to 9 for Outdoors with Luke Clayton and Friends. Bill Dance is a frequent guest. Larry Weisser, Mr. Whitetail, is on the show every week. We talk a lot of hunting and fishing and generally have a good time. So remember, every Saturday morning, 8 to 9, right here on Lone Star Internet Radio.
In a world where everyone with a smartphone is a photographer, unique images still stand out in local newspapers, magazines, and on the internet. Writer and photographer Brad Meyer has gained a reputation for innovation and quality, specializing in an editorial approach to portraits and event photography. For information, visit bkmeyer.com or call 281-221-4812.
The East Texas Dream Center is in need of your help. We are a nonprofit Christian organization that houses women and children who are trying to get their lives back after being homeless, abused, or addicted. We are conveniently located at 301 South 1st Street, Conroe, Texas, 77301, right here in Montgomery County. Our needs are financial, and every needs of gasoline, cleaning supplies, laundry soap, Lysol, and whatever else God puts in your heart. To help our ladies and children, please consider a donation. You may visit our website at www.easttexasdreamcenter.org. Again, so you don't forget, it's www.easttexasdreamcenter.org. Donations are tax deductible. Remember what Jesus said, with God, nothing is impossible.
The Cindy Cochran Show, Real Reality Radio.
And we're back on the Cindy Cochran Show. Of course, voted the most opinionated radio show. I voted
easily,
it that way.
Absolutely.
I voted that. I tossed the coin like 6 times, and every time. It said, "You are the most opinionated talk show." I said, "Okay, all right, I like that." Okay, so and I approved this message anyway. We've been talking about a lot of things, and if you missed the beginning of this, please go to our archives and listen to some brilliant statements from Denton Florian. Denton Florian is my guest today, and he's had what success you've had with Sam Houston, the statesman. This has been great because you've been having this played all over the country on PBS, and that we're so proud that we know you, and that you're the one that has done this. In fact, people have been playing it without even you knowing it. It's so popular, and but you're bringing a lot of information, character, and some way that people can look up to. Of course, he had problems and all that, but I'm excited. Now, where's it playing next?
Well, actually, it just played last night on PBS in Houston, and let me say that there were. I mean, no project like this is done in isolation. There were hundreds of people involved that really put their heart and soul into that project, and it was absolutely a team effort that could never have been produced by any one of the groups or individuals that were involved. The project turned out much better than it ever could have had there not been that team effort and that collaboration.
Well, I remember when you first came into Silver Rock Productions and started working on Sam Houston. Mm-hmm. And that was when Sam Houston was about 45. No, he was already dead. But that this effort. You started from ground zero.
Yeah, we did.
It was amazing. And Michael Huffine and Brian Falcon became huge, support for you and said, I'm here, we're here. And it's funny, their equipment and stuff evolved as you started shooting the movie. They got better and better equipment. And
the technology was changing so fast.
Yeah, and the technology so fast.
That was what was hard to keep up with, was the changing technology.
But even though you're doing a historic piece, it made beautiful pictures, what they came out with. And then the access that you had to the family, and then James Haley and all those that got on board, it just grew. And I just watched that. And Denton, I've never seen anybody so, this is going to happen. I don't care who says what obstacle comes in my way, you overcame it, Denton, and it was amazing. And now here's the fruits of all that labor. And you're right. You got to give credit to a lot of people, but those people came under your direction, and so it was an amazing project, and it was over. And now it just keeps going on. This will be here forever because all the PBS stations they're loving it. Once they see it, they love it. Tell me the story about Burns.
About who?
Burns. The station, I won't say the name of the station, that said, what's Burns' first name? The one that the
Ken
PBS.
Burns?
Ken Burns. Ken Burns, and he hadn't even seen the Sam Houston. Once he saw it, he was like, "Oh yeah, this is."
Oh! No, well, the thing is 3 hours long.
Right.
The comment that the guy made was that he said, you got to break it up into 3 1-hour pieces or we can't put it on the air. And so in the course of that conversation, he was talking about PBS in general and film in general. Mm-hmm. And he said, look, unless you're Ken Burns, there aren't any 3-hour blocks of time. That's just not done for anybody, except because he really is an exceptional case. I mean, Ken Burns owns the genre. Nobody's going to take that away from him in my lifetime. And so we went away and cut it up into 3 1-hour pieces, and it took us a lot of time and oceans of money to get that done because it was much more complicated than you think. And we brought it back and gave it to him and said, here it is. And about a couple days later, I got a phone call, and he was very excited. He had watched it, I guess, and was just very complimentary. And wow, this is great, and we're going to put it on the air on I think it was March 13th or something on Monday night from 7 to 10 p.m.
Let me see that. Let me count that up. That's
great.
3 hours.
I said, man, that is just wonderful. We're really happy for
what
that.
What a compliment.
But it needed to be, after all of that work and, just the irony of it was pretty funny to say, but it needed to be cut up anyway because a lot of the stations can't.
Well, you're very kind because, boy, that would have made me so mad. But I think that that does show the validity, the quality, and all that's there. And if you have not seen this, is it going to? Do you have a date for the next playing?
Don't have a date yet.
Okay, but he's in negotiation right now with PBS and how we're gonna be able to see it here at times that we can report to you when it's coming on and all. And then also you're going and aren't you speaking at places and.
I've been doing a lot of speaking lately. That's really fun. That's been fun.
Where are you going to be speaking next? You have a date?
Without my calendar right here, I can't really tell. I don't know. But I've been speaking. I spoke in Baytown this past Saturday, and I will be speaking. I'm going to speak on March the 2nd in Huntsville at Sam Houston's graveside to have an annual celebration. And I was very honored that they asked me to give the address. So
Denton.
March the 2nd, I'll be in Huntsville.
Denton, man.
Now, they have a great rule over there, and that is that the speech can't last longer than the Battle of San Jacinto did. So you got 18 minutes, and then some guy with a cane comes out and hooks you around the neck and yanks you off stage.
That's hilarious. That's a great event.
Isn't that wonderful?
That's really publicize nice. Stuff like that. So that is going to be March 2nd at the Sam Houston gravesite. Now tell me where's that located?
That's in Huntsville. It's just north of the Walls unit. It's in Oakwood Cemetery.
Oakwood Cemetery.
Yeah,
okay.
so if you drive in on 11th Street, there will be signs that say Sam Houston's grave, and you make your way over there. And I think there's a coffee that morning at the Gibbs Powell Museum at about 9 or 9:30, and then at 11 o'clock the ceremony at the graveside begins.
I love that. And you're giving that. Oh, that's exciting.
It is, isn't that
I
fun?
can't believe I had to dig to get that from you, and you should have said, hey, guess what I'm going to be at? I'm going to be speaking at his gravesite. So, okay, we'll keep reminding people about that coming up to the March 2nd. And when you have an air date for the show, I want to make sure everybody knows about that. Now, they also can go to samhoustonthemovie.com.
They can go to samhoustonmovie.com.
samhoustonmovie.com.
And there's DVDs there that are available. They ship just immediately. And we're working on getting it on Amazon for a download.
Okay.
That is, it's out of our hands at this point. However long the process takes, we've given them everything that we need to give them, and they're working on it.
We have people that are, see, the fan base is just growing. And, yeah, Denton, make sure that Craig Campbell is out there looking at you and watching.
Sam Houston is outside looking at it.
He is such a stalker of you. He loves the
paparazzi. You just can't
Dennis
get rid
O'Connor's
of them.
out there. They're out there, and they may be coming in. Oh no, we have been invaded.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next president of the United States, Denton Florian.
Yay! Oh, I would vote for that. Yes.
Don't you have a lock on these doors, buddy?
No, Craig. This guy, he's very famous in his own right. I told somebody, he came up and said hi and, blew us a kiss. And the person I was talking to, I said, you know who that is? That is the sculptor of the gold lady in front of the Spirit of Texas Bank. She said, wait, he made? I said, yes. And then, of course, Richard chimed in about the Texan with the flag, and I'm sure they all have names, proper names, but when you pass that bank, which I believe is the second coming of White House there, and
it is spectacular.
I'm waiting to see the snipers on top of that is what I'm waiting for. Is
$5 for the time I stole from you there.
Thank you, Craig. And so that was the actual sculptor. He's the guy that made that
He is
happen.
he is a Texas treasure. And I got to tell you, Craig is the voice of the older Sam Houston in the film. And that's a whole nother story.
I don't know that.
Yes, Craig did the voice for Sam. We met totally by accident. I had no idea who he was. He didn't know who I was. We met by accident, and very quickly we determined that he found out that we had been working on this documentary for 5 years. I found out that he had been working on the flag park in Conroe for 5 years. We were both almost done with our projects, but neither one knew about the other, and we didn't live 10 miles apart from each other.
Oh, really?
And it was really a pretty creepy coincidence the way that worked out, but Craig is the voice of Sam.
So use that word too when you're talking about Craig. Is the creepy?
Well, of course.
Okay,
yeah.
I would never call him creepy. No. He is certainly a staple of this downtown area. And I always invite people to come downtown, look around. It's so beautiful here, and we're here at 208 North Main, and next to the Conroe Coffee, and next to the Crichton Theater, and we're right here. And then right across the street is the famous sculptor.
He is, and he doesn't cut corners. He is old school. Everything is absolute perfection, and it's done right, and it's spectacular. That it's the only golden gilded statue in the state of Texas.
Being shipped in from Italy, these soft pieces of that he
the gold
put
leaf
together.
came from the same family that's been producing that since the Renaissance. I mean,
That's
so all
just
that gold you see in
amazing.
Versailles and all around Europe came from the same place. Yeah,
That's
it's
what I'm
amazing.
saying. It's very exciting. So if you guys want some really spectacular pictures to take back and selfies to take back home, be sure and come by here, and we'll point you over to where Craig is. But listen, when we come back from this, we do want to talk about the Convention of States. We haven't gotten to that yet because we talk about so many things, and people just come into our show and all that. So it's okay, it's fine. You guys stay with us. We will be right back. You're listening to the Cindy Cochran Show.
The Cindy Cochran Show, the most opinionated talk show on radio.
Our community's animal shelters cannot absorb accidental litters of kittens and puppies. Approximately 80% of the animals entering our shelters will not make it out alive. Please help be a part of the solution. Please spay and neuter your pets. Many low-cost options are available. Visit texaslittercontrol.org to learn more. That's texaslittercontrol.org. And remember, real Texans don't litter. Please spay and neuter your pets.
In a world where everyone with a smartphone is a photographer, unique images still stand out in local newspapers, magazines, and on the internet. Writer and photographer Brad Meyer has gained a reputation for innovation and quality, specializing in an editorial approach to portraits and event photography. For information, visit bkmeyer.com or call 281-221-4812.
Hello, I'm Bonita DeRosa, Animal Control Officer for the City of Willis. We invite you to tune in to Lone Star Internet Radio every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. for the Willis Hour. On the first Thursday of the month, the Willis Hour will be covering upcoming events and news about the city. Join in the conversation with your city officials and other leaders in the community. On the third, we will be doing a recap of the last City Council meeting. The mission of the City of Willis is to provide high-quality services, accountability, and professional commitment to our citizens. We pledge to provide those who live, work, and visit our city an effective government that is open and responsive to the needs and values of the community. Again, we invite you to tune in on Lone Star Internet Radio every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 for the Willis Hour.
Are you interested in learning more about preparing quick, healthy, and safe meals for your family? Would you like to spend time with others learning tips and tricks, along with practicing and tasting nutritious food? If so, the On the Road to Healthy Living Mobile Cooking School is for you. Call Amy Ressler at Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service at 936-539-7825 to find a class near you or volunteer to host a class.
Conroe now has another first, The Cindy Cochran Show, mornings at 10 a.m. on irlonestar.com.
And you're back on the Cindy Cochran Show. Thank you so much for joining us. If you missed 1 minute of the show today, you can go to our archives. That'll be up probably in a couple of days. It'll be up. The show will be, so be looking for it. And don't miss any of the pearls of wisdom that come out of Denton Florian's mouth. And I do want to thank our sponsor for today, Craig Campabella. He came in and actually gave us some money for the service of talking about him. And well, you didn't give us any money, Dennis O'Connor. Dennis is going, what about me? What am I, chopped liver? But you got to pay. It's paid, stuff. And so anyway, we just we want to thank Craig for that donation to the foundation. Okay, listen, you guys, be sure and stay with us because we're going to Chamber Chat coming up next. It starts at 11 o'clock, and it's the Lake Conroe Chamber of Commerce. And their guest today is Courtney and Samantha. No, that's not the guest. That's the... It says, here's how it says it. Time, guest. Courtney and Samantha will have Will Evans, Lorynda, Travis, and Debbie Campbell talking about the Go Texan Parade. Are we going to have a Go Texan Parade again in Conroe? Are we going to do that again?
You know that happens like every year, right?
I only saw one last year. I didn't know it happened before that.
February 20th, 1 o'clock, downtown Conroe.
No, I thought they were bringing it down from Houston, but we have our own. That's what's so exciting. We have our own Go Texan Parade. And
I think Cindy would go insane if every day she was required to have a diary and write down every day what she did and recognize how time and dates work in her life, how it affects her life.
Well, I just hope Courtney and Samantha have a good time with Will Evans and Lauren Travis and Debbie Campbell. about the Go Text and Pray. And that's coming up next. So see, I know I probably messed that up somewhat, but if you stay with us, and you'll get to hear the full report and what's going on. So I want to thank Denton Florian again. And we didn't get to all the stuff. We have Electoral College we want to cover, and we have the Convention of States I kept saying we're going to do, and people came in and it disrupted the show. So, Denton, will you promise me on the air right now that you will come back next week?
Next week? Thank you.
Next week? Will you come back next week, please?
I'll come back. We'll figure out when.
Okay.
Maybe next week.
Okay. Well, we'll do that, and he'll keep flipping coins to try and make sure that what they did the other night was not illegal. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think mathematically or anything else statistically that was right. So we're going to do more heavy underground investigation of that, okay? And figure that out, Denton.
That sounds good.
It's going to be fun. You guys, please be with me tomorrow, because tomorrow I have J Mac on. J Mac sounds like an entertainment group is going to be on, but no, he's running for some precinct, some position somewhere, and he'll be with us.
That is Commissioner Precinct number 3, Cindy.
I know, y'all been calling him the commish.
And that's why I asked you to let me know who's coming in so I can make those corrections for you. So thanks for letting me know who's coming in.
Do you know when I found out he was coming in?
I guarantee you it was during the show.
Last night I found out.
Last night. You should be like, call Richard.
No, last night I found out, but because he has some scheduling problems, so he's going to come be with me tomorrow. So we're going to have fun with the commish who's running for the commissioner position, and I can't wait to talk to him. I've had all these females on, judges and stuff, and it's been so much fun to talk to the females that are running, but I'm going to talk to J Mac. I love that name. We'll be here tomorrow, and we'll get him all straightened out. Okay, guys? Okay, listeners? You know how I do this thing. You know how I roll. So it's going to be fun with him. We're going to get the female angle on J Mac tomorrow. Don't miss it. And then we've got the farmers market's going to be coming up Thursday, and we're going to talk about that. And if you live anywhere around the Conroe area, you got to come downtown. And downtown we have a farmers market, and we have entertainment, food, and all kind of stuff coming up. So you're not going to miss that. And on Friday we're going to be talking entertainment, movies that are coming out. Finally, some good movies will be coming out, and we'll talk on those things. Anything you want to talk about, be sure and call in, and go to my Facebook page if you want to make suggestions. Maybe that I stop talking, or whatever suggestion you make, I'll listen to it. Thanks again, Denton Florian. You were fabulous today, and everything you said, I believe. Listen, we'll be back. Don't go away. The Cindy Cochran Show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for checking out a podcast on Lone Star Internet Radio. Lone Star Internet Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station, broadcasting from the heart of Conroe, Texas. If you are interested in sponsoring a program for Lone Star Internet Radio, just visit us online at irlonestar.com or message us on Facebook. We are always taking song requests on Twitter, and if you are interested in getting involved with the station, by either hosting your own show or if you want to be a DJ, just contact Dick at irlonestar.com. Lone Star Internet Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station.